The first thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that they should stop crying about songs being short or getting shorter and shorter. Again, this is directed towards the crybaby K-pop stans and not ones who have valid takes when speaking on topics like these. But, K-pop stans need to stop crying about songs being shorter and getting shorter, because while that does happen currently, y'all crying about it is funny, and getting shocked when you find a full-length song with every part included is even more funnier. The thing about you K-pop stans is that y'all cry about short songs, and when asked for you guys to give examples, all your examples will be songs from groups that are popular and known, basically mainstream groups. There won't be non-mainstream but popular artists in your list of examples, and I don't think there'll be soloists in your list of examples either. Also, these same mainstream groups whose examples y'all will give, may have B-sides that are long and fulfilling, but y'all never care about those and mention mainly the title tracks or the promoted tracks with MVs, basically the tracks more seen by fans during a comeback. And so, how are y'all gonna find long songs this way if y'all only look at these songs and then cry, songs are getting shorter, as if the K-pop industry is doing this to you when you yourself only look at some songs and then act like what you say is actually what happens in K-pop. When in fact it only happens amongst one small portion side of the industry in terms of music that y'all selectively pick up and choose to look at while ignoring the other vast side, which y'all do for literally anything y'all complain about, and then y'all cry as if you're 100% right. It's just funny. Also, Wasa as an example released her song Good Goodbye, which is 3 minutes 43 seconds in length, and another version with someone named Duomo which is 4 minutes 13 seconds in length. Sunmi has a song from her new album Heart Made that is called A Long Long Night, which is 4 minutes 6 seconds in length. Wootsu's new single I'll Never Love You Again is 3 minutes 45 seconds, and the B-side Smashing Concrete is 3 minutes 37 seconds, and this is just some of the many 20-25 long songs that exist amongst popular and known artists in K-pop. There are longer songs out there, but do you guys choose to only look at the shorter songs and then complain that songs are getting shorter? I mean, yes, again, it's true about songs getting shorter, but you guys don't seem to be looking at the longer songs and acting like the newer generation of K-pop music is all short, and y'all keep comparing to the older generations of K-pop as if the older generation had more longer songs than the current one, when the current one has plenty of long songs, but y'all never pay attention to those. The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that. So, I saw a video title that said, Daniela isn't overdancing, you are just used to mediocrity. Also, this is not hate to the creator BTW, because I had a thought, and even though I know that Daniela is not K-pop and neither is she from a K-pop group, this sparked an idea for this second thought. People always be saying ex-idol overdances, like an example would be Ayeon from Baby Monster, being said she overdances, and even seeing this title with Daniela, but how do you know that these idols are overdancing? Do you even know the difference between normal dancing and overdancing that you think idols overdance, or do you just throw words around anytime someone shows energy in their dancing that could just be that they're energetic and maybe dance well enough to show off their skill, and so them coming off as overdancing to you could just be them trying to show their dance skills to the fullest when they may have just been holding back to fit the group? And no, this is not directed towards Ayeon and Daniela, but just idols in general who come off as overdancers to K-pop stans. But also, on the other hand, maybe these K-pop stans who call idols overdancers are right, who knows? The video titling, You're Just Used to Mediocrity, would not be it in this context, because idols can definitely come off as overdancing, and you guys don't need to come to the idol's defense, which, judging from the title, it looks like it. IDK, I haven't watched the video, but I will soon. Overdancing is a thing, and someone has to be an overdancer, because not everyone is high-energy dancing with passion but labeled as doing too much, and it's true. Overdancing wouldn't be a word if everyone was just full of life when they dance. Also, how does this channel know the "you're just used to mediocrity" part? Because who's to say that these K-pop stans don't know what they're talking about? And yes, I know that I call out K-pop stans constantly for saying things for views, and it's true that they do, but I also say that there are a rare few 1 to 2 people who actually have things to say, and maybe some of these are actually saying it because they know what they're talking about. Who knows? And yes, I did make a take later on calling K-pop stans dumb. But that take is directed towards the K-pop stans who don't use their brain to think at all. And videos like this, the Daniela one, may be good if the creator has good points. But who's to say this video won't just come off as a defense mode activated, and be like other people who also might just react in this way when hearing things about topics like this and could just go online and to say, no, it's not overdancing, but the person saying it may come off as not giving a proper reason why and just go all defensive as in, I'd like to see you try dancing like that, as if we're coming with full-on pitchforks and torches to attack the idol lol. Also, this is not hate to the creator, since I'm just saying this take and sharing two sides of the same thing on the same topic. The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that I've said this a lot before, but K-pop stans should stop promoting these better budgeted labeled lesser known groups as if they're nugu, because the meaning of nugu is who. And when many K-pop stans promoting groups as nugu promote the same few groups from the same list, how does that make the groups nugu exactly if many K-pop stans know them enough to promote them? And if these K-pop stans were to think of a nugu group when asked, they'd think of the same few groups you'd typically see in a so-called nugu groups video. Also, watching a nugu group-based video where you'll see mainly the most top of the iceberg lesser-known groups, like Nature, BVNDIT, Cherry Bullet, Pixie etc. for example, you'll most probably find more comments by people who already know them to begin with, so that makes the groups even less of a nugu. Though this doesn't mean the group is popular now, it just means that they're not unknown for them to be classified as nugu. They may be at the middle point, which I've talked about before a lot, where groups are above nugudom but not popular, so they're at the middle point in K-pop. Now, IDK if all these groups have passed nugudom, but they're definitely not, who? For people to not know them, because if you ask a K-pop stan to name a nugu group, they'd most definitely name a group from lesser known but the top of the iceberg list, and never any nugus that are actually nugu. And a correct answer, finding an actual nugu stan who knows what they talk about when they use the word nugu, would be hard. Sometimes when I watch nugu videos and see a rare group that is actually nugu group promoted, I get shocked because as I said in my thoughts video already uploaded, I go into these videos with low expectations because I know exactly who's gonna be promoted. So yeah, it's definitely a shock. So in the end I beg of you, as a nugu expert who is trying to find the nugu east of nugu songs artists, though I do make mistakes when promoting artists' songs that are not nugu as nugu, but I'm trying to better myself and fix my mistakes, stop making these nugu videos and learn the meaning first. Do some research and then come back when you're all knowledgeable and know who to promote. The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that K-pop stans should stop constantly mentioning this, and also again, I do not lump all K-pop stans into one box, but this is for the K-pop stans who cry about lots of K-pop things but never want to find solutions. I call them crybaby K-pop stans. This take is not directed towards K-pop stans who have a brain and actually know what they're talking about. People should stop being so fixated on certain aspects of K-pop. Like, come on. People be talking about, for example, out of many different K-pop things talked about how I'm centering the whole take on this example, minors shouldn't debut, or how idols should debut at this age, and not that age, and you know at a certain point it starts to get annoying and old, because y'all out here just bringing up these topics as if y'all are trying to show concern, but I know for a fact not everyone talking about these topics actually care for these issues, which I did touch up on in a thought in my K-pop thoughts video recently uploaded. If y'all did care, y'all would be doing more than just saying, minors shouldn't debut, and leaving it at that. If you care about minors' safety and know about the dark side of the industry and minors losing their childhood and other such valid things, you would not be here just using your words, since actions speak louder. And if you did truly care, you would not be here using these topics that can turn into serious topics for views, engagement and agreement. If y'all did truly care, y'all would uplift adult-aged idols that exist in plenty, including all adult member-only groups, without parroting the same things about minors debut more, adults debut less. If y'all did truly care, y'all wouldn't be out here just constantly talking about minors without mentioning adults, but in a way that brings them the spotlight rather than just dismissing them as, why are they so little adults in the industry? Quote. If y'all did truly care, even with the little adults that you think exist, you would be supporting them and quit talking about minors. If y'all did truly care, y'all would try to find and support adults more and give minors less attention. All in all, if you actually did care about the minors in the industry, the minors debuting talks would die down, because most of what is said is just parroting others' words for views, and it's true. Because people talking about minors using their actual brain and real thinking would talk about minors in two ways, which is number one, talking about minors' safety in depth and showing real concern for them, and also giving examples of incidents that happened with idols who are minors that shows that minors shouldn't debut, or the second way, which is talking about minors, but also mentioning a solution of supporting adult idols and also giving examples of adult idols or groups. Actual care for minors comes with research and knowing things before speaking, and not using a delicate subject like minors debuting for your personal gain to get people to, yes, I agree, because these topics to you are your views, but it's not a surprise that K-pop stans don't care enough to take these topics with care, but rather just take these topics and hot takes them like they're some WTF did they just say, when y'all are just here to exploit these topics and toss them aside once you're done with them and move on to the next topic that will get the views. Where's your minors' safety other than just telling us time and time again about how they debut too much? Is there literally nothing else you can do besides possibly being able to make a list of minors that debuted, which would not actually do anything, but rather just prove your point to be true, because many people will agree with your fake care for minors? The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that K-pop stans should stop talking about certain topics, making videos on them, or adding them as opinions in opinions videos. An example would be about K-pop music and how it doesn't have the pizzazz anymore. Everything sounds predictable and the same, and while I definitely see that what you're talking about could be valid, I just don't like these topics, because looking at this very topic about K-pop music, most of the times people talking about this are just K-pop stans who talk about the mainstream K-pop industry and never actually talk about it in the sense of, I know there are some great K-pop songs out there, but I'm talking about the mainstream industry. They just come off as, I wanna complain, in their crybaby tantrum throwing K-pop stan era, and it sucks because being this negative about K-pop without showing that you also see the good parts might lead you to wanna leave K-pop as if it's completely going downhill when you yourself are just mostly consuming the parts you see as bad, and so of course you have all these critiques. I just want people to stop talking about these types of topics, because it just ends up making the K-tuber come off as annoying, because some things that they talk about in the videos for these topics could just be things that says, like for example talking about K-pop music. And the K-tuber says something about K-pop songs sounding the same nowadays, but you in the comments can just easily show them songs that make K-pop different. But who's to say they won't reply with something along the lines of, yes, there could be different songs, but I'm talking about the most popular mainstream groups. Which I have seen this type of reply in comments to me. So I know these types of people exist, meaning that different things may exist with other acts in K-pop who are popular but not in the mainstream and known to many K-pop stans, or who are nugu and unknown. And those are comments that I don't like, because they feel dismissive, since it sounds like K-pop stans care more about what's making K-pop bad than focusing on the good that exists to counter the bad. Also, saying how they're talking about a certain part of the industry just feels like they're trying to defend their point rather than seeing the whole picture. I don't want these types of topics talked about anymore, because they only bring negativity out of the K-tuber who may not come off as, I'm calling out K-pop, and saying things in an unfiltered, brutally honest way when they may just be fixated on these things without seeing anything else. The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that K-pop stans should stop talking about K-pop music and being like, for example, K-pop sounds the same, where they're trying to argue that K-pop songs nowadays sound the same. Okay, if K-pop songs nowadays sound the same to you, then why don't you name me 50 different K-pop songs by 50 different K-pop artists? None of the 50 artists can be the same artist who exist currently, and show me all those 50 K-pop artists sounding the same. If you can't do that much, or try to tell me it's impossible to do, then you're not fit to be criticizing K-pop and saying it currently sounds the same, because for me, I can go through different K-pop groups, soloists, bands and B-sides and find 50 different songs by 50 different artists that may show a difference in music. Sure, some songs may have a similarity to them, but I don't think the songs I try to provide will be they all sound the same, and I can at least prove my point. But with you, you'll try and definitely fail, because I've said it many times that your view of K-pop is mainly the top most popular mainstream artists, and that is proving to be your downfall when criticizing, because of your small view of K-pop, leading to bias in when you talk about K-pop as if it's all bad, when you just don't notice, or don't want to notice, the good side of the industry. It's all just, K-pop is this, K-pop is that, but negatively speaking on the industry about the music and never actually paying attention to the good music, since again I've said this many times that K-pop is a huge industry and not some small industry. K-pop doesn't only center around the biggest groups, and there are smaller artists there too, or artists that are more popular in Korea and may not be known much to K-pop fans internationally who may have different musical tastes. Y'all out here acting like fools because the mainstream extremely popular side of the industry puts thoughts in your head and you only notice that side, whether it be past K-pop or current K-pop. Also, just because things are not in your face now like it was in the older generations of K-pop doesn't make K-pop music bad, boring and such when these things could still be happening but on a lesser known to the stans way, and K-pop stans may not be interested in such things anymore, and these things still may exist a lot, but just not on a popular level for you to notice it. It may be there, but you have to search for it instead of crying because it's not being served to you on a silver platter. The next thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that I want people to stop making videos where they rank the worst K-pop fandoms and such. I saw Miss Sunnybae uploaded a new video called, Ranking the Worst K-pop Fandoms, and this is not hate to them because this take is not about them but just the video idea being done in general by any K-tuber, and this video idea is not it, considering if you're ranking the worst K-pop fandoms, possibly due to personal experience, then why are you doing so? Because in the end aren't all fandoms the worst even if one fandom may have done something more worse than another fandom? If you make a video like this, then what are you ranking the worst fandoms on? Is it their toxicity and actions, for example? If so, then all fandoms are toxic and have done terrible things. If they've shown themselves as such, and so we can't really rank these fandoms on the basis of that since there's no such thing as more toxic or less toxic, and if you think so, and rank the worst fandoms based on that, then you're giving one toxicity in a fandom a lower rank because you may not see it as toxic as another fandom's toxicity. Meaning that you probably think that, sure, they did that toxic thing but I mean someone else did worse and we should focus on that more, which I believe is dumb if that's what you base your rankings on when ranking toxic fandoms based on toxicity, unless the fandom being toxic maybe has a valid explanation as to why they were toxic in the first place, but other than that toxic fans are toxic in general and all do toxic things. Also, ranking worst fandoms based on toxicity would be funny because if one fandom comes out as the most toxic, then does that cancel out the other fandom's toxicity who came out below in the rankings because their toxicity was comparatively less even if all these fandoms did toxic things? IDK how this works. And another thing is that, I've always seen K-pop stans trying to pin one fandom as the worst, and also since many K-pop stans always think of bad fandoms, and think of maybe ARMYs or Blinks, they might win in these types of videos as the worst fandoms out there due to their bad reputation and being brought up a lot negatively. Plus, making these videos also makes people of said fandom to come and attack in the comments by being defensive, which might make you believe even more that this fandom is worst enough to be at the rank they are, and that rank might even be number one. I don't like these videos because while you might have knowledge on different fandoms to make these types of videos, everyone who makes this have their own opinions, and these videos are subjective, which shows that every fandom is worst in a way because different K-tubers have different opinions. And these in turn show that every fandom is toxic in a way if different groups are listed by different K-tubers. The last thing that K-pop stans should stop doing is that I want people to stop making unpopular K-pop opinions because you guys are extremely stupid, except for 2 channels, and don't know how to make opinions. Do you guys seriously not wanna come off as smart when making K-pop opinions rather than just repeating takes, saying takes in a way that others have said it already or will say it in the future, saying takes in a hot takes way to get cancelled and other things that don't show that you're actually using your brain and showing us your K-pop knowledge? It could be worse if you talk about yourself being a K-pop stan for a long time only for you to provide nothing different from your perspective as compared to others, and be the same hot takes for cancellation, views and engagement crap channel, and that I've been a K-pop stan for so long, but doesn't work if you're not giving us an insight on the industry years ago versus now, from your own view lens. The amount of K-tubers who just talk about something because it's a trendy take without knowing if it's true is hilarious because y'all don't care about what y'all talk about, since y'all will say, songs are getting shorter, for example, but do you really know if it's true? And if y'all are comparing the newer generation to older generations acting like older generations songs were longer more than now. That is true to an extent, but you never search up longer songs in the current era to see if they exist and just say, songs are getting shorter, when you yourself only look at a small portion of tracks that are made for TikTok virality catchiness and so they come off as short and you're never looking amongst these same groups to see if longer songs exist amongst them, and you're only fixated a lot on the shorter songs. Also, how do you know there were no shorter songs in the older generation? If again, y'all may be comparing the new gen with the older gen acting like older gen songs were better. You're dumb and not using your brains since you're of course gonna pick older gen songs and give only long examples and for the current gen give only short examples. Which would show your lack of research since you only did this to prove a point rather than come off as someone who put in the work. Because if you did put in the work, your video would also acknowledge short songs of the past, that most definitely existed, and long songs of the present, that even amongst the well-known and popular acts, exist, and I would know considering I have a video idea saved of songs from well-known popular K-pop artists, about 159 songs, that are long enough in my eyes starting from 3 minutes 10 seconds and onwards. All I'm saying is that y'all dumb and just repeat things and even when y'all go into context your context is the most surface level because y'all look at one side and never the other and so y'all think it's 100% the case, when it's not fully truthful.